is Carol, or my channel's name is Carol Funk, Funk. Yes,
So
funky.
at Carol Funk FUNK.
Yep. It's just my name, Carol Funk. It's just the name of my channel also.
Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah. It's a titular channel. And I never knew what that meant before, but Westward Magazine did an article and mentioned my channel in there, and they called it a titular channel. So a titular channel means that the channel is my name, and my channel is, or my name is my channel. So it just means that it's my name. It's who I am.
So it's like your likeness or whatever, it's like who you are.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Is it just like stuff you do all the time? Like just cool. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been down with the Colorado Palestine Coalition for for 6 months now, but I kind of came late to the game supporting Palestine for a few years, But since October 7th, I've been down here all the time, and I also I documented the sweeps. I'm involved with the houseless or the unhoused and feeding them, the community feeds that go around and on in town, and yes, and yes, yes, and just all kinds of stuff. And then I got my chats that nobody wants to watch. So yeah, but yeah, it's great.
All right, I think we should go ahead and get started. You mind let's close the server around a bit.
Did you have one person coming for everything?
Okay, sweet. Well, in the meantime, I'll just start by introducing myself, and then I think it'd be great if y'all don't mind introducing yourselves to the extent you're comfortable with. Any information or no information is fine. So I am Chloe East, and I am an associate professor of economics at CU Denver, and I'm very moved by what the students are doing here, and looking to figure out ways to support what they're doing. I've been out at the encampment every day except yesterday since it started, and I'm excited to get a chance to chat with more people who are here and tell you a little bit about how some of my own academic research kind of ties into some of the issues that I think we are all thinking about right now, in particular how sort of negative environments that children are exposed to not only harm them when they're kids, but lead to long-lasting negative effects on health and other outcomes. And there's now a lot of research, including some of my own, that make that very clear. And conflict is one of those key sort of negative environments that social scientists have studied. So I thought I would just tell you a little bit about that. I also have origami paper because I thought that's kind of a heavy topic and this is a heavy thing. So if folks want to do some crafting while we're talking or take some at the end, you're welcome to do that. So I'll just put that out in the middle, but then maybe we can just go around and have y'all introduce yourselves. Also, my pronouns are she, her.
So my name is Carol. My pronouns are she, her, and I think I just kind of introduced myself a little bit ago. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm finding it so refreshing and stimulating to talk to the students on campus and these very, very smart young people. It's been great. It's been great. Yeah.
Cool. Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I'm a CU Denver alumni, and it's just been really heartwarming. I graduated about 5 years ago, so it's been really heartwarming to see so many more students get involved over the last 5 years versus when I came. So I thought I would just come out and show as much support as I can. I brought some water and goodies and things, so I'm really excited. Really heartwarmed to see all of you guys standing out here for values and what's right for the community and for everyone.
My name is Sarah. My name is Priya. My brother's receiver. And I'm actually not originally from Colorado. I'm from New York, but I moved out here a couple years ago. And I just feel like a lot of times things are happening and it's really hard to find like a lot of big activist movement out here, especially in New York City. So when I heard that there was an encampment out here, like my heart just grew a million times to know like there's something like this that young people are really taking this seriously.
That's
I
right.
think this one's pretty cut and dry, and I've been pro-Palestine for a long time. To see things come to fruition, this has been a really long issue. The U.S. has definitely poked its fingers in a lot of countries, including the countries that my family's from. So, I want to be here to support where they're doing. My name's Julia. Pronouns are she/her, and I'm an alumni of the University of Denver. So, private university, they can't quite do things as much. It's really unfortunate. So, I'm just glad to see that there's people doing things here in Colorado. Just came out here to show my support for everything that everyone's doing here.
Hey everyone, I'm Antonio. I'm in the economics department with Chloe, and out here just as well to show support for all the students who really love the activism and standing up for what's right. And we got some faculty supporting all as well, so keep at it, and do what we can on our side as well.
Name's Aspen. I'm originally from Colorado, but I'm not a student. Just wanted to come out here and show my support, do whatever I can to keep the movement going, keep spirits lifted, so we can liberate our friends across the sea, get them back to their families.
My name's Mo. I use any pronouns, and I don't know if I can say I'm a Sea Boulder alumni because I dropped out.
Count it. I think it counts.
It counts.
So here to help hold our institutions accountable for the harm they've caused and free Palestine.
My name is Dream. You call me Dream, or he, him pronouns must. And then some of my friends came out here and started camping on Thursday, so I felt like a easy call to action to do the same. And been here for a couple days, and definitely really just blown away about the amount of resources that can come together all at once, and the ways that can highlight the intersectionality of mutual aid and community, and how we can come together and really have one fight all together. And I think it's really beautiful. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I'm Obi. I'm not a student, but I did take classes here a long time ago. And I'm really passionate about the Palestine thing and having students come together and camping out and standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm down by the river.
That's awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Mesa. I go by she/her pronouns. I'm Palestinian. I'm actually visiting from out of town. I'm here for a feminist center, and I'm part of the Palestinian Feminist Club.
Us-
Formerly part of the Palestinian Movement. I'm really happy to be here. So filled with so much hope and joy seeing all the student encampments. And so I really wanted to come and see what was going on this campus. I'm happy that there's a teach-in offering as I'm here. So thank you all so much for holding it down. And we gotta keep going until Palestine is free, until we're all free.
Yeah.
Yay.
I was impressed by all this. I mean, it's
Is it beautiful?
sad to see where, I feel like America is being controlled by the Zionists. And imagine one day if they really control this country, then nobody has a voice. They can do whatever they want to anyone.
You want to sit down and join us?
Yeah.
Tell us your name.
My name is Ali. I'm actually originally from Afghanistan, but I was grown up here, so I'm pretty Americanized. But I mean, first, I'm not sure if anybody's an Arab besides you. You said you're a Palestinian. I normally always say shame on all the Arabs because it's their number one job to stand up for Palestinian people.
Yeah.
But they're not really doing it. They have all the money in the world, trillions of dollars. They have mansions in like Aspen, but they don't do anything, especially when their own Palestinian, their same religion, even Muslims are getting killed, they don't do nothing.
So Chloe here is gonna do a teach-in for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an economics professor here at New Bedford. Yeah, so I'm gonna chat with you all. Yeah, you're welcome to join, and glad to see other folks joining. Yeah, so what we're planning to do in the next little while is I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own economics research, and also how economics, but also other social sciences, have been studying the impacts of famine and stress and conflict on children in particular, because that's one of my interests, is children and what impacts them. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about that research. This can be super informal. I don't need to lecture. Honestly, I hate lecturing even in the classroom. I much prefer discussion. So feel free to ask questions, make comments, add your own thoughts. We're just here to chat. So that's my plan. And also, if you'd like to do any origami, I did bring a bunch of origami papers, so you're welcome to do some or take some with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I took some notes here, so let me pull those up to help guide the conversation. So I guess I'll tell you, let me tell you just a little bit more kind of about myself and how I think of economics, because I think for good reason it often gets a really bad rap, as Kyle and I were just talking about a little while ago. So I have always been really interested in questions about inequality, like even when I was a kid, as these students are here, that was something that was really interesting to me and motivating to me. And the reason that I got drawn into going to grad school and studying economics is because it kind of provides this way of thinking about and studying in like a scientific way what impacts humans and what impacts human behavior. And again, I think that there are lots of problems with economics, and that can be a whole other conversation, but that is what initially drew me into studying the field, and being able to kind of answer questions about what's driving inequality and how we can help solve inequality, and especially, as I said, sort of like the impacts of inequality on kids is something that's always really interesting to me, and how we can help sort of increase intergenerational mobility and just make it a more equitable society broadly. So that's kind of like where my initial background came from. And then a lot of my research has been focused on what is the impact of public programs on children. So the public programs that I've studied the most are programs that some of you are probably familiar with, so things like Medicaid, unemployment insurance, what used to be called food stamps and now is called SNAP, these types of safety net programs. And I've done a lot of work trying to understand the benefits of these programs and like document the benefits of these programs on children and children's outcomes. And so that's kind of where I am kind of in my work specifically, but I think I'll broaden out a little bit now and kind of talk about how this, like social scientists in general, kind of think about the impacts of these things on kids. But let me pause and see if it, like, do y'all have any questions or thoughts so far? Useful? Okay.
It's making me think about my own experiences.
Yeah. Also,
Just growing up with those kinds of resources available.
Yeah.
And how much it helped me.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I do notice that one thing that I've noticed when you see videos of the children in Gaza right now is that they express how much they miss going to school and being educated, and it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think that anything I'm going to tell you today is going to be brand new information. We know that children are greatly impacted by conflict and by stress and by malnutrition. So I'm just going to kind of shed a little bit of light on what the research actually says about that. But, yeah, I think we all know that intuitively, that these are really terrible things that are happening right now and will have lasting effects for generations to come. So, Yeah, so I guess to kind of tell you a little bit about where, like, how social scientists think about this. Until like a few decades ago, it was kind of generally thought that, and I guess this is broader than social scientists, kind of scientists in general, thought that the impacts of like negative things like conflict, but also the impacts of positive things like providing safety net benefits was short-lived. We didn't really think that there would be like lasting positive effects or lasting negative effects. And part of that was because there is this idea that, especially while kids are like in utero, so while a person is pregnant, that like the baby is like protected from all the like either positive or negative things that are happening outside of the pregnant person. And the research sort of started to, well, tried to look at whether or not if harmful things happened while a person was pregnant, or if positive things happened while a person was pregnant, would that improve the outcomes of a baby at birth and improve their longer run outcomes? And again, probably not surprisingly, yes, it matters quite a bit what happens while somebody is pregnant for their kid at birth, but also later in life. And so that kind of motivated a lot more social science, that kind of finding motivated a lot more social science to look at what are the long run consequences of, again, sort of either like negative things happening in early childhood or positive things happening in early childhood. And so there's been a bunch of studies kind of on both of those things, and probably most relevant for thinking about this, there are a couple like really famous studies now. So there's one on the what's called the Dutch hunger winter. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah. It was during World War II, towards the end of World War II, the Nazis put a blockade on the Netherlands, and it led to like widespread famine throughout part of the Netherlands. And so researchers more recently, because that was obviously a long time ago, looked to see if the outcomes of children who were born during that famine were different than outcomes for children who were born either right before or right after the famine. And they found that, again, intuitively, the kids who were born during the famine, who were exposed to the famine while they themselves were in utero, were harmed, not only in the short run, like when they were born as kids, but in the longer run. And so we see that like negative effects on their health throughout
That's what I was
adulthood.
gonna ask.
Yeah,
About
please.
the health of the baby, is that like where they're seeing the effects? Like mostly is like how healthy they come out, or even just like their mental being as a baby?
I mean, it's a wide range. I mean,
Okay.
it's a wide range of outcomes.
Okay.
What social scientists often look at is health at birth, because that's an easy thing to measure. So a typical like measure of health at birth is the birth weight of a baby, because if a baby is born too underweight, then they can have lots of other like health complications. So a higher birth weight baby kind of in general indicates like a better, like more health. So that's one way, but the study that I'm talking about the Dutch hunger winter, they actually look at hospitalizations, and they find that adults who were born during the Dutch hunger winter are more likely to be hospitalized as adults. Yeah.
So more of an impact later in life.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I think is really striking and kind of like important, and I think that's one of the reasons I thought it might be, you know, like of use and interesting to the group, is like these effects are going to persist for people's entire lifetime. Like even if we can end things today, like the trauma that has been put on people is going to last for their entire lifetime. Yeah, so I think that's really important to think about. Yeah.
I don't know if they look at this. Does that trauma continue into the next generation that's now free from, say, like the conflict of the past, where the people are now in a safer environment? They have children in a new environment, and the trauma is passed on.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And
What was your question?
Yeah.
I was asking if you see these effects passed on to another generation now, if they're outside of the conflict.
yes, the answer is yes. So and that's like a newer area of research, and that kind of ties into the research that I've done, which is looking at intergenerational effects. So not just the first sort of like what we call like the exposed. Okay, this is really nerdy. Exposed cohort is what we call it, but I like the people who are directly exposed to whatever the thing is we're talking about. But like their kids also have either positive or negative effects depending on what we're talking about. So my work on that. So my work on that kind of looks at the positive side of things. So my research, like I was saying, is on government programs, and one of my projects has looked at the effects of the Medicaid program across generations. And so it's now very clear that giving Medicaid or health insurance in general, doesn't have to be Medicaid, to individuals improves their outcomes immediately. But we also have now shown in this paper that I worked on a little while ago that if you give health insurance to pregnant people, it not only helps their kids when their kids are born, but when their kids grow up and have kids of their own, those kids are also positively affected. So it is really this like intergenerational transmission, and that's what I think probably is kind of, like I was saying, kind of like the most important takeaway from this research is like these are just really long-term persistent effects. And so like one negative side of that is what I was saying before, but the flip side of that is like if we're able to have positive impacts on kids today, that's going to have ramifications, like good ramifications for generations to come. Yeah. Other questions or thoughts?
How
Yeah,
long
please.
does it take? I guess generationally to see the outcome be a positive. So, for example, the children of Lessa right now going to be impacted the rest of their lives. Has there been research that shows like it takes X amount of time for like a healthy environment where it doesn't impact
That's a
children
good question.
down the line?
I don't think we know the answer to that. It's like a really important
That's really sad.
question, but yeah. Sorry?
Would that be like possibly subjective, like to the, because what's happening in Israel is like so massively intense.
Yeah.
I feel like the impact on students.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to depend a lot on, it's like what you're saying, like if we have a really bad thing happen, it's probably going to take a really long time to do that. Yeah. Okay, one other thought study I wanted to mention was actually done by some CU Denver economics faculty, not us, but some other faculty. And they looked at the impact of the second intifada. And they looked at whether or not, again, this is sort of like looking at the impacts of health at birth. So they looked at whether pregnant people in the West Bank during the second intifada who were subjected to violence and murders, what happened to their kids when they had kids. And they found that those kids were less healthy, even if they weren't, even for the pregnant people who weren't directly impacted by the violence, even just being exposed to the violence nearby had this negative impact on babies' health and birth. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting study as well.
Unhealthy and like more chronic diseases.
So that was more recent, so we haven't really documented the long run impact of it, but based on what we know, that should, we're expecting that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're hearing that. But this
economics as well. I have many thoughts on that too. Yeah, but that's basically it. I mean, I'm happy to keep chatting about anything that would be useful.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, thank you all for coming. It was great to meet you.
So we learned that economics does not just deal with money.
Yeah, absolutely. Economics is very human centered. At
Yes.
least some of it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.